incredible showing that we had out of Shar for the other side, right? The opponents.
Be the decider if we do get to that point. I made a call that we might see more game threes today, and so far I have been wrong, but we'll see what can actually happen. However, just the fact that we're going to start off on a domination map, I'm pretty excited for that. We haven't had a chance to see that game type yet today, and Mountain R&D is a level that really gets to show off a lot of the skill, I think, of the teams, like the individual skill, the coordination, the ability to, I guess, not hesitate when taking positions, when, you know, trying to push for space. It just really gets to show a lot of the technical skill of these teams because it is so even. It's almost like a paintball, like speedball map, right? Like there's a set terrain right here. It's a little short, specific range. You know exactly where people are going to be at. It's just all about the fight.
Yeah, and during our break also, we had that Vault series look-in with Gasman as well. Speaking of his experience playing in particular up against Mafty on this map and how they like to control that high ground. So we will be keeping an eye on that when we get into our first map. We're going to go ahead and take a short break, though, as we get the lobby set up for this match. When we get back, it'll be our second semifinals here for the Best of the West, presented by the Gundam Evolution New Type League. Welcome back to the Best of the West presented by the Gundam Evolution New Type League. We are about to head into map number 1 in our second semifinal of the day. Mafty versus Sotoras here on Mountain R&D Lab.
And Sotoras, a team that we've seen for a long time in these tournaments, doing better and better every single time. I'm glad to see them up here, potentially fighting for a spot for day number 2, but Team Mafty, actual Team Mafty, you know, it's kind of weird talking about the Team Char like they were kind of half Team Mafty, because they were half Team Mafty, but Mafty has so many players on it that they still can fill out full rosters even when some of their other players move off to kind of play as a second team in the tournament. And we've got some great players here. We're going to see someone starting off on a Breakout 2 ranged Arrow, playing that great set of units I love to see, but here we go, fighting already for this high ground.
Yeah, on the other side, though, you can see that they're trying to play a bit more brawler-centric. They have Boondiggles there, but it's not going to matter because Nox on that Barbados finds a knock. Will be able to clean that one up as well, forcing back the Sotoras members. And it looks like all the exchange is just going in the favor of Team Mafty. We're starting off on point C as it unlocks in just a moment.
And that's not a super surprise, right? Of course, Team Mafty is the dominant force in the league right here. They did go down to last second in the previous event that we had, but they've still been by far the most consistent team. Sotoras has a heck of a mountain to climb here on Mountain R&D, and the Unicorn Gundam actually a suit that got a huge buff in this last patch. I'm sorry we haven't seen it more, but just based on the maps, we haven't had the chance to, and it's going to play here pretty effectively.
Yeah. Still, though, the fight's going in favor of Mafty. They've already secured themselves 24%. You can see what we were talking about, what Gasman was talking about in that excellent presentation, just how much pressure that he put on, but also able to control the high ground and make those early shifts on over. I'm not going to see anyone from Sotoras, though, try and backdoor and get a little bit of extra percentage there on C. It's going to be all positioning for A. They have to stick together as a group because things like that happen. Arrow in the back line, able to pick them apart. Nox goes in for the cleanup, and now Garma will be the next one to fall. And so the point hasn't unlocked quite yet, but it's all Mafty in control.
And we've said this a million times here on this map, but it is so difficult to retake either high ground if one team has high ground on either A or C. They can shift over in literally seconds, so you have to find a really strong way to approach, and against a team as strong as Mafty, that is going to be way easier said than done. We do see, too, this punch is ready from focus, one of the strongest team movers on this map. Oh, that's a great opportunity for it! Almost didn't even need it. That was just adding even more damage on top of a huge damage situation. There's an attempt at a recap here, but there's only one player on the point. It's going to be Boondiggles, probably trying to get out of there. And this point for sure is going to go, at least at the start, to Team Mafty, who actually still has 3 G maneuvers up.
Yeah, a little bit surprising that they committed 3 G maneuvers into that. That was the Heat Hawk slash from Arrow, but honestly, you can count that as like half a G maneuver with how quickly you're able to charge that one up. Focus, though, is still putting in a lot of damage, and so after using that punch, he's got 40%. Knocked in the back, uses his G maneuver as well, but it's enough to stagger them. That's going to be the cleanup coming up from Mafty, only losing out on Profi throughout all of that, but they will basically secure all of point A, and now we're going back to point C. That's what we see here on Mountain R&D.
I don't know why, just the curse. B is just so rare. But that's actually a really tough thing. B is the easiest point to probably make that comeback, the 100% comeback, which is going to be absolutely necessary here for Sotoras. They do have 4 G maneuvers, working on a few more than that, but they need to make this happen. There's not a lot of time. Once this unlocks, only 9%, only really 8% left for the win for Mafty.
And for Sotoras, though, this is their biggest opportunity. Only 1 G maneuver online for Mafty. They've got that punch, but honestly, it might be enough in the face of, what, 4 on the other side for Sotoras. So the point will unlock, and now just 9 short percentage points away. But they put them all the way back towards this one. Listic falls back without even falling. Royal Fatman, though, on the front line. He's got that Heat Hawk slash, and Boondiggles goes in with that Asma by himself, but they're not going to be able to find anything quite yet. Focus will finally go down after utilizing that punch. Nox once again in the front line, in the thick of things, finds one for himself. Extra time ticking away, but no one from Sotoras will be able to touch the points, and that will be Mafty taking that first convincing round.
They played that positioning so well. Regardless of the fact that Mafty had a gigantic lead going into that final push, they were at the risk of being team wiped by like 4 or 5 different G maneuvers, but they pushed forward, they held that aggressive forward positioning towards their spawn, and then as soon as they saw them pushing out, starting to commit things, they all backed up so evenly and so perfectly that they were outside of the effective range of the new G maneuver, they outside the effective range of the Barbados G maneuver. They just made sure that all of those things did not get the mileage that they possibly could, and then they just won the team fight. That was just 100% positioning versus resources, and the positioning won out.
Right now, I'm just kind of loving the new tempo that Mafty are really playing with, right? Typically, we see a lot of standoffs on Mountain R&D where it's like Ashamars are just trying to get that perfect flame down, and you allow your Pale Rider just to play on top, and you play around those 2 units really effectively. For Mafty, though, the simple fact that they're able to dive a little bit harder, get a bit more aggressive with the Zaku 2 range and that Barbados, they are just playing with a new tempo right now, and it's not leaving much room for Sotoras to breathe. Point C once again here in round number 2 as it unlocks. You can see Nox is in the back, gets that pick off onto One Trick Tony, and that's the dominoes falling as one more member of Sotoras will fall. Nox forcing out that smoke instantly, but he is still back here finding the kills, and Mafty are just absolutely dominating.
Oh man, forcing the smoke and then being there as the smoke ended on the other side of the wall, that was just cruel. That was just an unfun little game of tag if you're on the losing side, but this is already looking to be a very similar type of round. We're not going to see too many switches overall, but the focus fire, and literally the focus fire from Focus as well, is just so heavy on the side of Mafty. I mean, like, how do you get through this? I'm just seeing them melt. Jeez.
Yeah, they're pushing them all the way towards their spawn doors once again. It looked like maybe someone was trying to go for a back cap, but it should just be full 46.5% for Mafty to pick up here. No G maneuvers online quite yet, but Royal Famine is able to chase down Poppy and secure that one, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange as Arrow is forced all the way down to the lower health pack here. You can see now they back away, give up some positioning, but Royal Fat Man might have been able to draw them out, but not for long, as he does end up getting cleaned out. But this is the strongest position we've seen out of Sotoras so far until these trades come in. Nox and Focus as that 2-man cleaning up, and now they transition. Hey, we got the B sighting.
And we'll get at least one, maybe no more than that. But B is going to be a harder spot to defend from. However, they're not even gonna, oh, wait a minute, this is actually huge. Oh no, lands on the wall, didn't get that last hit off. The angle just barely off. That did force some players to retreat, but this is a chance. This is definitely a chance here for Sotoras, but they're gonna go down in numbers. There's only 2 up. They're back in the spawn. They've got time, though. They've got time. This is not going to guarantee to end on B. That was going to be one of their first big opportunities with that that third hit of that missing. Focus, though, is sitting on a full G maneuver. We've got the Hades available as well, and the Screaming Nimbus. So the resources are here. This is going to be tough to break through.
Royal Fat Man finds the angle, though, from the back line, along with that Barbados G maneuver coming in. Creates an opening, but as they fall back, as Mafty is losing out on units, they still take out some on the retreat. The point has unlocked, and Sotoras will be able to get their first percentage point here. 0 Hour, though, still staying alive. Mafty keeping things up, and it's only going to be 5% for Sotoras. They're sent packing once again. Arrow now pushing up towards spawn. Will be able to clean up Cage Show as Listic ends up going down. Royal Fat Man, he's doing a great job so far on this Zaku range for his squad before he finally falls. And he's creating the openings that Sotoras needs to try and take advantage of, but they just haven't been able to follow through with the picks that he gets.
And Nox has been such an amazing counter to, actually, we're actually seeing, we're almost on the other side, but we've seen a lot of these Barbados versus Zaku 2 ranged fights, and the damage from Barbados with one slam, one W can really just end that suit right there without the invincibility going off at all. It also has the ability to kind of chase it down with how it's a level of mobility, so we can see how the Zaku 2 range can work really well and potentially not work really well, but here we go, Listic popping off with the Screaming Nimbus, already getting a pick on One Trick Tony.
Yeah, the point is about to unlock as well, and that's going to be 3 pickups coming out from Mafty as they are close to closing this one out. Just 7% more remaining here, and they're pushing up towards the spawn doors once again. Focus tries to go in for that punch. It was a big whiff, but it's okay because he's still batting basically a 900. And there it is. That's Mafty taking map number 1 in such a convincing fashion.
It was. At least it was not a double 100-0. There was some fight in Sotoras, and that does go a really long way. Of course, like we mentioned, Mafty is the reigning kind of dominant force overall in the scene right now, and that's just, of course, continuing on as strong as it possibly could be. But I have to mention, Sotoras is in one of the most interesting spots, right? They are below what may be like the kind of like top 3 teams that we tend to see, which are like Tekka Dynasty, Mafty, and Last Second, which now Mafty, of course, is multiple teams, but they're right in that 4th spot. They're actually the 4th place placement currently in the Pilot Academy. So every placement that they make matters, and every little bit of improvement matters, because they are the closest, I think, that any team is to kind of like breaking into that top spot as far as their consistency. So just even the fact that we got to see that one really good push from them, that one take, even though it got pushed back pretty quickly, I think it was very important to see.
Yeah, and I think really more than anything else, throwing them off is just this kind of renewed aggression that's coming up from Mafty. We typically see them play a very controlled style, right? They're not typically relying upon the backliners. We saw more of that coming out as Carl Sagan was picking that one up, and Arrow was picking that one up, and so many different players actually in our last event was actually playing the Zaku 2 range.
I know.
But it adds a whole new dimension to their play now. Before it was, being able to stand and bang 6v6, but now being able to play a lot more of these flankers, a lot more of the aggressive style. This is just something new that we're seeing out of Mafty right now, and they look stellar with it.
They are looking incredible with it. I don't think we've ever seen anybody hold that close to a spawn before. And Sotoras are good. They're not a bad team by any means. Like I just said, they're currently 4th place in the official Pilot Academy standings. But to be able to literally hold somebody at their spawn door, that's just, Mafty they're terrifying. What can I say?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we get back, we'll have map number 2 of Mafty versus Sotoras right after this. Welcome back to Best of the West, presented by the Gundam Evolution New Type League. We're moving on to map number 2 of Mafty versus Sotoras. Mafty coming off the huge victory there in game number 1 and map number 1. Now they might be showing us something a little bit different, something some of our fans might be pretty happy about.
I hope that we do get a chance to see some. I don't know. I never ever want to call that something's actually going to get picked, because every single time that I do, it doesn't. So I feel like I just want to not say it at all. But we do see some really fun suits getting highlighted on the offensive side. There's a lot of time to potentially change them, but I would love to see at least a few of these. I mean, we saw some heavy arms for one life, I guess you could say, like one push, but we didn't get a chance to see too much heavy arms. We didn't get a chance to see too much Jim. We saw Gasman on that for a little bit. There's a gun tank, woo, over there, and there is a Mahiru. I mean, this is like a bunch of weird picks. We'll see if any of them switch, or if this is just a confident, strange choice. We're going to see a lot of switches in the end, and none of those are being picked. I give up.
So disappointed in you, Mafty. I am so disappointed. They're gonna go back to the same composition they were running, of course, on Mountain R&D. Nox was doing an amazing job on that Barbados, and we'll see if he does get contested up here on that high ground. Doesn't look like Moondiggle is actually in position for it. 0 Hour getting that first pick for Mafty. Now Sotoras trying to retreat here, but there's no room for them whatsoever. Mafty pushing straight up past that waypoint. They do secure it, and now they're chasing after one more. That's going to be one Trick Tony on that Zaku 2 range going down, and it's a race to see who can plant the charge. It will go down on B, though.
That's how you know you're doing well, when you're racing with your own team to see who can plant on a different site first. But that is one of the quickest plants I've ever seen on Quarry, I think. Sotoras definitely fighting from their back foot. They are stuck in the middle here, just trying to survive even. They're kind of in a choke point. They might want to go back around, but they don't have that much time to do so.
Ooh, Arrow, knowing that they did not have the CC to slow it down, charges forward to finish off that Unicorn. There is no one here whatsoever to contest. They're even pushing up towards spawn once again. This is like Mountain R&D. They are chasing after them right now. On B site, though, the Mega Charge is still beeping down. 18 seconds left to go. And the regroup is coming up from Sotoras, but you can see the backliners of Mafty just putting in so much work right now. Nox does ultimately go down, but that does secure that Mega Charge going off. And now we'll be moving on to the second point.
And one thing that we've seen time and time again from Mafty is their ability to really push as far forward as they can as they're taking this first bomb site on this particular map. But currently they're kind of fighting, they're kind of brawling, so they didn't get a chance to push forward as much as they would have liked to. The picks happened a little bit too late to actually defend the bomb site, but that's going to at least allow Sotoras to kind of get a footing on the defensive side. However, they're just immediately crumbling as I say that.
Yeah, Nox just playing with his food there in the back line. Dropped a little bit low, but he will be able to survive, pick up the Mega Health pack, and get back on up. Waypoint has been recaptured by the offense, and now 0 Hour is ready. He's got that Hades system active, or ready to go, but Profi also has his bits down. Oh no, he ends up falling here, but the 2-for-1 exchange. Profi now, the backliner, Sazabi, getting the face of 2 units here. Still has to be careful. His shield will ultimately give way as he backs away. He's got the rest of his squad showing up now. The Mega Charge going down on the B site.
That's how you know you played an engagement perfectly. When your shield breaks, you're down to like 50 HP and then you make it out alive. That means you knew your exact limits. But this is looking tough. There's 40 seconds left to disarm, but once again, this is just being caught in your own spawn. This is just a tough spot to be in. Literally, I've never seen any team hold this far forward in my entire life. Like you mentioned, this new aggressive Mafty is just something else.
Yeah, they have 4 G maneuvers to finish things off as well. The Hades system now coming down for Royal Fat Man, though, to try and maybe put up a defense here. He does not find any more targets, though, but Nox is coming in with his G maneuver. Here's the screaming Nimbus in the face of that Hades. Royal Fat Man will end up going down. 0 Hour finishing him off. Focus with one last punch to finish things off strong. We'll see it in just a moment, hopefully here. Never mind. Mafty finishes way too quickly. They'll be able to finish off this round, and now it's Sotoras on the offense.
That is close to one of the fastest times I think that we've ever had on Quarry. There was a little bit of a delay, otherwise, I guess kind of like in that first initial push on the second bomb site. But I think aside from that, there was pretty much zero delay, and you can just see the damage numbers aren't even high for a round, really, because there was so little time for people to actually even do damage.
Yeah, only 12,000 for Arrow there, 11,000 for 0 Hour and Listic with the 10K for himself. But this was an incredibly fast map. Mafty were just able to pivot from one objective to the next, take the waypoint, get the bomb down. The only time that they ended up staggering was on that transition from to the second half of the map. But once they regained their footing, it was business as usual.
I mean, look at Arrow, 17 kills, 0 deaths, highest damage on the team. I think we are looking at a pretty good era for the Zaku 2 range. We've seen it on a lot of different teams so far, almost every single team, and it is just looking like a suit to be played right now. You've got to have some counters to it. You got to be wary of it. It was, of course, really kind of underfavored for a while just because it was so hard to actually sneak behind the team without being focused. But this extra little bit of escapability with the getting the boost bar back from using the smoke grenade, it looks like that maybe was all it needed.
Yeah, absolutely stellar. I love it myself because, again, two of my top units right now, it's Dom Trooper and Zaku 2 range, so I love seeing more Zaku 2 range, especially at the highest levels. Now here's the rollout coming up from Sotoras. One little change though, Melee ends up picking up that Mara side to try and really deal with the threats from the back line that looks a little bit more forgiving, as he's not able to quite connect with it yet, but it's just a matter of time.
I'm really excited to see Marasai. Marasai in this most recent patch got a buff to its normal shot damage, making it just a stronger, more solid unit overall. However, the shots need to land, and with the amount of damage coming out of Mafty, you don't get that many opportunities to even land shots. We're going to see Arrow go down finally, and Listic go down. This could be a really good opportunity. There's a lot of damage on the side of Sotoras, but they're going to be running back much faster.
I feel like this is more just from the mistakes that Mafty are making, or just the over-aggression more than anything else. But Sotoras will take anything that he can get. Now Boondoggle tries to get into the front line, jumping into the back, is able to connect. No, not quite with that stab. You have to be careful. They have forced back Mafty at the very least, and they will go ahead and secure this waypoint. It's not a quick and clean transition like we saw out of Mafty before. There's still some opposition, and oh my goodness, Mafty are coming back into this. Arrow is in the back line chasing after the remaining members of Sotoras, and that waypoint has been neutralized once again. It's back to square one for Sotoras.
I don't know how many times I can say it, but every time that it feels like you take an inch against Mafty, they come back stronger, and you can be up numbers, you can be up positioning, but suddenly your entire team gets wiped, and you're like, what just happened? That was such a great push by Sotoras. It looked like everything was going well, but then the Mafty power happened, and they've got to refight back for just even getting this waypoint. They've got some resources, but already 3, 4, 5 down, one more, and that's a team kill from Mafty.
And Mafty, they've got some strong tools coming online to continue this defensive hold. Ooh, that could have been a little bit scary there with the Hades actually ending in the middle of nowhere, but there was no one for Sotoras to actually try and find that pick. Now though, focus. He's going to be the focus of attention here, or should be. He's got that Ashamar punch ready to go, and they're funneling into the choke points. They've got to be careful. Boondiggle's on the high ground now. Needs to find an opening for his squad. He's been spotted and is forced back to get some heals for his team. Focus, though, is now just holding on to that punch. We got the screaming Nimbus up for Listic as well.
Boondiggle's waiting for some opportunity to maybe jump over this wall to try to get a single pick. The opportunities can be huge here for Barbados on offense and defense. And there we go. We're going to see a first big push in here, but Snowbossman just getting melted. Same with Garma. I mean, everybody three. Boondiggles jumps in, tries to get the opportunity, doesn't manage to find it. There's 1 minute and 42 seconds left. I think Sotoras needs to really find their G maneuvers. I think it's really all they can do here. They're getting pretty close to the punch. They're pretty close to the Sea Snake G maneuver. They've got they had the unicorn when it was up, but there's so many counters on the other side. I don't know what they can do. 1 minute 22 seconds left. They got to take the waypoint and get a plant down.
The issue is, even if they get the snake up, like if they get the snare up, the fact is that Mafty are not playing like a death ball. They are playing like a swarm, and it's so difficult to try and pin down one unit. How are you going to pin down multiple units here? They're a little bit grouped right now. This is their probably best opportunity for that snare if he can get it, but nothing coming the way of Sotoras right now. Finally finding the pick onto Profi at the very least. Now 5G maneuvers online for Sotoras, but they end up losing out on their mirror side. There it is, the Screaming Nimbus out, and that's going to create the opening now for Mafty to push up. 45 seconds remaining now for Sotoras. Like you said, they still need the waypoint. They still need the plants. As you can see, someone trying to possibly try and backdoor plants, but it is just not there for Sotoras.
Oh, this is just not enough time. I think there may be an opportunity for like a Zakutu melee to sneak over and just get like a side plant, but I don't think that Mafty is going to let anybody through. This is essentially a checkmate for this round, and that is a guaranteed checkmate, a team kill. Mafty showing that their dominance will continue. What a map, what a set. They are just looking scarier than ever.
Yeah, Listic is just sitting at the spawn door, throwing down mines as they come down, trying to delay them at all, but there it is. The clean 2-0 for Mafty, and so we got a Mafty versus Char finals in the winner bracket set in store for us tomorrow.
Oh, that's going to be really exciting. I'm really pumped to see that potentially. Of course, that is kind of like a half Mafty team versus the full Mafty team minus those other half. And that's just going to be an absolute powerhouse battle. But like you mentioned, that's going to be tomorrow, so we can't get too excited for it yet because we've got plenty of other matches today as well, because we're going to be moving through the losers bracket to see who our top 4 teams are going to be before we end the day. But I mean, just to even look back on that map, I want to reiterate one more time that Sotoras, even though it did not go very well for them, which most maps don't go very well when you're fighting against Mafty, no matter who you are, they are on that precipice of moving over to be like one of the top teams, and they need like all the experience that they can get. So I feel like they had some really, really good moments on each of those maps, right? Just like that first push that worked really well on this previous map on Quarry, and when they were on Mountain R&D, they had that one really nice take on B, and just being able to kind of feel out like one of the best teams, if not the best team that we currently have, and get some successful attacks and pushes against them. I feel like it's going to help them a lot as they're trying to not only kind of move over to being a top team, but hold on to that 4th place qualifying spot in the Pilot Academy.
Yeah, and I think really the story of that is the kind of presence and the importance that we're now seeing out of our backline players, our Zaku 2 ranged, our Barbados. Both of those units really coming into huge effect basically in this matchup. Either side really having some good presence in that regard from both of those units. And so I'm glad that we're moving a little bit away from the death ball, away from really putting the support onto the Pale Rider player, and then being able to see all-stars really be able to shine and create highlight reels for themselves on both of those units respectively. Really excellent showing coming out from Mafty. Of course, that is what was to be expected. What wasn't was just this new aggression coming out from them. It felt like a breath of fresh air. We know that Mafty can be exciting, but this is one of the most exciting iterations or metas really for them in terms of just overall just electricity in this composition.
And you mentioned too that they have actually 2 really strong Zaku 2 ranged players. As you were mentioned, Carl Sagan earlier, who we didn't even get a chance to see in this last match. I'm not sure if he's actually here today, but between Arrow and Carl Sagan, they in the last tournament switched off, each playing Zaku 2 ranged at different times. So the fact that 2 of the best Zaku 2 ranged players that we have are both on the same team, and this seems to be a spot where it can be used more effectively than it has been for a very long time. I'm very happy to see it, and I expect that the numbers for that Zaku 2 ranged are going to be pretty high here. Yes, they are.
Yeah. Is that right? There's no way they're absolutely tied on damage between Arrow and Focus. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though, but that it's tied is the most important surprising thing overall. But no surprises there whatsoever. 27k for Arrow, 27k for Focus, and of course Listic on that Dom Trooper. Wait, another 27k 0 hour.
And also, we needs to be mentioned that the KDs. I'm getting a feeling that there may have been some of these KDs based off of a 0 death, which technically is an infinite KD ratio. But there's a 37 kills, 37 KD, 32, or sorry, no, 30. That one 0 hour definitely died at least twice. But we have a 32 into a 32 on Focus's side. We got a 30 into a 30 on Arrow's side. So you can just see that the deaths overall here are unbelievably low. They were just able to survive in, such a great way while dealing all that damage.
Yeah. On the other side, though, for Team Sotoras, Royal Fatman was able to at least dish out damage. Again, being able to have a Pale Rider against that kind of aggression and that kind of presence in the back line that Mafty had, to still be able to dish out 22,000 damage is really impressive.
Also need to mention the high amount of damage on the Unicorn. That is a suit that I was mentioning got a lot of buffs, but none of them were offensive. It's just a really strong suit defensively as far as like that team support. But if you're good at, left clicking people, it does have a great hit scan type gun. So we saw a lot of damage coming out from that while it was supporting, while it was able to keep the team alive longer. That's really good to see. I'm surprised we haven't seen more Unicorns. I expect that we might see more if we go into domination maps later on.
Yeah, but we will be now getting ready for our lower bracket run. We have 2 more games left for the broadcast, so we're going to take a short break. When we get back, we'll be dropping down into the lower bracket right after this.